Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for streaming with us. In today's update, Dr. Anthony Fauci just received his first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, got his first shot of the Moderna vaccine. That vaccine was authorized last week and was developed with help from the National Institute of Health, where Dr. Fauci works. The vaccine rollout comes as concern is growing over a new variant of the virus discovered in the UK.
You really need to assume that it's here already. It may not, and certainly is not the dominant strain, but I would not be surprised at all if it is already here.
40 countries have now banned travel to and from the UK, but that does not include the U.S. A record 115,000 Americans are currently hospitalized with the virus. And overnight, Congress officially passed a $900 billion relief package. The COVID-19 relief bill includes a direct payment of $600 for Americans making up to $75,000 a year, $300 in federal unemployment benefits, and $300 billion for the Small Business Loan Program. President Trump is expected to sign the bill later this week. And just 72 days after LeBron and the Lakers won the NBA title, a new season is already tipping off. This time, the NBA is ditching the bubble, and teams will play on their home courts. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver tells ABC News the league is taking their lead from baseball and football, both of which traveled and held games on their home fields.
We learned a lot from both leagues, particularly around testing protocols. The testing is designed so that we do have a positive case, that player can quickly be isolated from his teammates to avoid, obviously, what would be terrible, and that is a spread among the entire team.
But NBA fans will still have to watch the games from home. No in-person attendance will be allowed. Comedian John Mulaney has reportedly checked himself into rehab for alcohol and cocaine abuse after battling addiction for decades. Zohreen Shah has more on the actor's struggle during the pandemic.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Mulaney.
This morning, Emmy-winning John Mulaney in rehab for alcohol and cocaine addiction, according to the New York Post, which reports Mulaney enrolled in a 60-day treatment plan. The comedian has been open with his addiction struggles, including in his comedy.
I used to drink, and then I drank too much, and I had to stop. That surprises a lot of audiences because I don't look like someone who used to do anything.
Telling Esquire in 2019 that he began drinking at the young age of 13, saying, "I drank for attention. I was really outgoing, and then at 12, I wasn't. I didn't know how to act. And then I was drinking, and I was hilarious again."
Please welcome John Mulaney.
Earlier this month, Mulaney appearing on Jimmy Kimmel, opening up about how the pandemic has been a struggle and how he went to fellow comedian Seth Meyers for a job to provide structure in his life.
I really needed a job. I wanted to have a boss, and I wanted to have structure because my psychiatrist, who knows me well, she said to me, without external structure, I don't have any confidence in you thriving.
Addiction expert Christina Georgi-Wanzilak, who does not treat Mulaney, says she's seeing many people struggling with relapse during this time.
What makes the pandemic so especially hard for people who are battling addiction?
The greatest medication for addiction is connection and community. And the pandemic and the shelter in place and the isolation is cutting people off from the very medication that saves their lives.
Our expert says rehab can be so powerful, especially right now, because people who go can often safely be together in groups and have the type of connection they need to recover. And we should note, Mulaney himself has not responded to our request for comment. Zohreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Zohreen, thank you. Really hoping he's okay. And now to the former Bloomberg reporter opening up to Elle magazine about her relationship with Martin Shkreli, better known as the Pharma Bro. Christy Smythe says she went from covering his trial to upending her entire life for him, leaving her husband, her home, even her job. He's best known as the Pharma Bro, the man who in 2015 raised the price of a life-saving drug nearly 5,000%.
I don't really care about people hating me.
Then in 2017, Martin Shkreli was found guilty in an unrelated fraud case, live streaming through the verdict with a beer in hand. Later sentenced to 7 years in prison.
I'm one of the richest New Yorkers there is, and that's after today's outcome, it's going to stay that way.
Now a reporter who covered his trial is speaking out, telling Elle magazine she saw a different side of Shkreli and fell in love. Christy Smythe was happily married when she started covering Martin Shkreli for Bloomberg News.
She described that he was incredibly smart, loved to talk about literature, about art. She described the conversation flowing like water.
She started visiting Shkreli in prison. Within a few months, she left her husband and her job. I told Martin I loved him, Smythe recalls, and he told me he loved me too.
They kind of described their future plans. He talks big, but she said even if 1% of them do happen, that's still fantastic.
Smythe says those future plans also included one day starting a family.
She says she's aware of what life outside of prison would be like when he gets out, of how messy and complex that would be. On the other hand, she's frozen her eggs.
But since she went public, Shkreli has cut off all contact with Smythe, telling Elle in a statement, Mr. Shkreli wishes Miss Smythe the best of luck in her future endeavors.
She wanted to get out the story of who, in her mind, Martin Shkreli really is. And she just didn't want to have to lie about her personal life anymore. And she thinks that his villainous public persona is a face, is a mask that he puts on to stir controversy.
Smythe says she's still holding out hope, telling GMA in a statement, I know I did things that are controversial and that many people would not agree with. I followed my heart, though, and ultimately, I don't have regrets. He is a person who can, and I believe will do amazing things if he has an opportunity to redeem himself. And as of yesterday, Shkreli still hadn't contacted Smythe. She tells the New York Post she's open to dating other men, but still hopes they can have a future together once he's released from prison. On a much lighter note, it isn't just Santa making children's Christmas wishes come true this year. A preschool director in Indianapolis decided to work a second job with the mission of buying her students gifts. Renee Dixon joins us now for more on how she is spreading joy this holiday season. Renee, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. And even better now to be chatting with you. So walk us through this. You became an Uber and a Lyft driver to make some extra cash just to buy some Christmas gifts for all 50 of your students. What made you decide to do this?
I've been doing it for 4 years, and this year was the hardest year ever because of COVID. And a lot of my parents, they lost their jobs, their hours were reduced, and some of them told me that they weren't going to have, their child wasn't going to have Christmas presents. And I'm like, oh, yes, your child will have Christmas presents. So I started back driving again, and every time I make $100, I go to Target, I buy more gifts. Every time I make $50, I buy more gifts. So I can start accumulating gifts throughout until Christmas Eve. So I wanted to make sure my students had gifts and their siblings had gifts.
Now, I know that, first of all, I should reiterate what you just said. Not only did you buy these gifts for your students, but also to make sure their siblings also had gifts as well. The level of thoughtfulness here is endless, and I know that many of your students' parents are also essential workers. How have you seen them struggle throughout this pandemic?
It's been hard. We've lost over half of our students because of the pandemic. A lot of parents couldn't pay anymore. So when they told me they couldn't provide for their child for Christmas, I got to do what I got to do. So it wasn't no thought about it. It was like, okay, your child's going to have some Christmas presents. And then I'm going to get Christmas presents and for you to get them a present. So child has a Christmas present, sibling, and then their parent gets a present to give to their child.
You know, you say I got to do what I got to do, but you didn't have to do any of this. This was something that you chose to do, and what an amazing impact you're having. How much money have you raised to date?
Well, right now it's $3,000, and I'm really not trying to, I don't see the big issue of what I'm doing, the big deal people are making. It's like everyone can do this. It's just people are in need now. I've had family members die from COVID. Some of my children had family members die from COVID or affected with COVID, and it's just been a horrible year for little kids. And they have no control of what is going on in the world. So just to put a little bit of hope in their hearts, hey, who wouldn't do it?
You know, you're saying anyone can do this, but not everybody does. And you went out and you did this. Now Uber is saying that they plan to match the money you have earned to date and donate that to help your students as well. What does it mean to you to know that all the work that you did is now going to go twice as far?
It makes me feel good. And I want people out there to know that I'm not a scammer. This is coming from my heart because I didn't ask anyone to help me. I just happened to have a passenger in the car and he read my profile and he was like, oh, so do you still do this? I'm like, yeah, I'm driving now to get Christmas presents for all the kids. He's like, can I record us? I'm like, sure, no problem. And it started from there and now it's here. So just let everybody know also, being an early childhood educator, we are the last ones to be thought of. Elementary school, middle school, and high school, even college professors and teachers are always thought about. But no one ever thinks about early childhood education teachers. We are on the front lines with them of this pandemic. We're here when their parents have to go to work. We are one of the lucky ones, centers that still open. A lot of them had to close because they lost so many children. I mean, the need is overwhelming, and it's not stopping at Christmas. This is going on. This is what I do throughout the year. Christmas is over with. Okay, winter is coming. They need boots. They need hats. They need gloves. My children, I call them my children, will always need me. And so I let the parents know I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. I let anybody. People say have a kind heart. I'm like, no, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I know you're talking about how teachers of older children and even adults tend to get more appreciation, but I can tell you as the mother of a 2-year-old myself, I personally appreciate everything you're doing in your line of work, and clearly the attention you're receiving shows that the whole country really is resonating with this. Not all heroes wear capes, and you, ma'am, are a hero today. So thank you so much for what you're doing, both for your kids and for what your story will do around the country, not only for other children as well, but for teachers just like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. And thank you for your time today and for sharing your story with us.
No problem.
It was great to talk to you. And that does it for this ABC News Live update. What better note to end on than that? I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for joining us. And remember, ABC News Live is here for you all day with the latest news, context, and analysis. I'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern with Kira Phillips for the breakdown. Stay safe, everybody.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.